Hello, dear listener. I have something truly special to share. It's an exclusive invitation to join me in Mexico for an intimate and luxurious 3-day retreat along the beautiful Pacific coast of Zihuatanejo, taking place the weekend of the spring equinox, March 18th through the 20th. There's also an optional day to stay through the 21st for some special ceremonies that are happening in the area for the equinox. But the retreat itself is the 18th through the 20th, really an opportunity not to be missed. And I'm offering one lucky listener a discounted ticket on this weekend that I've just been loving into being actually for several years now as COVID and, everything. But when we conceived of building this place, our home down here, it's really what we envisioned, bringing people down here for retreats, for trainings, because we felt and we knew that this space was special. And as people keep coming down and we keep getting the feedback, how magical it is, we want to share it in a really intentional way. Be working with the 4 elements, earth, air, fire, water, the metaphors of the season. We'll set sight on a new vision for our mothering journey and creating a deeper connection to self and Mother Nature. So to win a discounted ticket, rate and review this show on Apple Podcasts. Screenshot it and DM it to me on Instagram at Dr. Gertrude Lyons. And remember, the most important thing to mother is yourself. Give yourself permission to take a retreat this year. And besides, who said mothers can't go on a spring break? I'll see you there.
This is a Soulfire production. Welcome to Mother. No, it's Mother. Welcome to Mother, the show where we can explore our inner mothers to actualize our greatest selves. Through interviews with incredible guests, live coaching sessions, and my own experiences, we're going to dive deep into embracing feminine values and reparenting ourselves. So be prepared to show up, hold space, and be mothered in a way you never have before, but have always needed. It's time we rewrite the Mother Code. Hi, and welcome to episode 58 of Mother, Rewriting the Mother Code with me, Dr. Gertrude Lyons. Well, this week's episode, I want to take you on a journey with me and that we can together kind of reap some of the benefits of a experiment, something I did this past weekend that I called a productivity fast. So many big learns, so much came from this. And I'm hoping that it ignites some thoughts and some possibilities and has you looking at how you use your time and, what does it take to create moments of presence, moments of just being and enjoying and spontaneity, things like that. So in my last episode, we focused on, some of what the possibilities around dry January. And in that, I mentioned that I was about to do this productivity fast. And as I'm looking at this year ahead and a word that I have chosen, to guide my year is flow, and all manners of flow, and me flowing into my full being, me looking at, what does it take to create the circumstances for flow? What comes out of being in flow? And, what systems do I need to put in place? What do I need to let go of and get rid of to create more space of flow, and just how flow can be, something that comes in gushes and something that comes, in trickles. But I'm really looking forward to this exploration. So I was working with one of my coaches, Jonathan Stancato, and, I work with him particularly around flow, around my voice and getting my voice out in the world, speaking. And, we take that a lot of places. This isn't like voice lessons, so to speak, although we do that too. But in our conversation, I was talking about how I feel like I'm someone who has a very full life. I love all the things that so much of what I'm doing. And embrace so much of it. But there's a way I feel like I'm very busy, but not always effective. And he has come to discover that really have never like carved out a lot of time for myself to just be, that don't involve work in some form or another, or something that I'm deeming productive. And just, it was a blind spot for me, to really notice and see what it takes to step out of my norm and not always kind of be busy doing something. And don't get me wrong, I want to be productive, but I also want, my productivity to really focus and matter, so I can carve out the time I need for creativity, for just silliness, for spontaneity. And, that's been a missing part for me, a missing kind of piece in my life. So what I set up for myself was to I ended up starting it. I set a time, I set the time for Friday at noon. And it was great because that forced me to really think about the time ahead and anything, that I would be occupying my mind or would really help me set me up for success to do this. So right there, I was more productive in my days leading up to it, so I could give myself that time. It brought up like things that I missed, that I didn't get done, that could have even enhanced it. And then all day Saturday and up till 3:00 on Sunday. And, just like any soft addict, I found just some very important reasons why I had to do a few things here and there, but we'll talk about that. And I particularly called it, a productivity fast, because I wanted it to be different than just a personal retreat. I wanted it different from even something that I really want to incorporate into my life, like a Sabbath, day or part of a day. But I didn't want to give it a focus. I really just wanted to see what was it like to try and discern what was work, what wasn't work, what was, a distraction, kind of like you do with an eating. You need to eat. But when I've done juice fasts or cleanses, I've learned some really valuable things, like how and when I eat because I'm having emotions, or because I'm bored, so to speak, to fill time, to fill space. And I would learn that I'd eat more in sometimes a given setting, or other times than my body really needed, and that I could do with much less than I thought. And just how I get, you get into habits. So I figured, and it did, prove to be a very similar. So that's why I wanted it to feel more like that. I was just, taking away, big chunks of time where devices were completely off. I rationalized to myself, like, well, even on a juice cleanse, you do, drink something, and I had juice. So of course I need to periodically look at so just right there. Right. I did learn that, I think it would be good to 100% unplug. And that just seems so scary, for a chunk of time where it's just away. And I let people in my life know, and, really what would it look like to set that up? But this was a good start. And I have to say, I'm quite proud of myself for doing this. Because then I got to look at, what would that space look like if I'm not in a space of productive work, or, keeping busy, so to speak. And what will I choose? What will I jump into? And I didn't want to plan it out. I had some thoughts or ideas, but I didn't want it to feel like, that it was too much in the doing. So that was, a big piece of it for me. And I really noticed, and I thought about it ahead of time, and it came up for me a lot during it, what's wired in our culture. And when we look at it through the Rewrite the Mother Code lens, what our paradigm, and it was so interesting. Some articles like came into view and wasn't even looking for them around, our culture. And really, there was literally one like, we're addicted to productivity. And, if you're not producing something or doing, then what's your value? And we have really lost the sense of relaxing, letting down, letting go. That isn't just we do it too much. We let substances or, things kind of take us away as opposed to really do it a bit more consciously. So, through the Rewrite the Mother Code lens, what was wired in me from my family around it. And, my dad worked a lot. He provided for us beautifully, but, he was at work at his shop 6 days a week. Well, half day on Saturday, and was home on Sunday. And his idea of relaxing was sitting in the chair and watching TV for the most part, and reading the newspaper. So that's a choice, but it was, that what I saw there was it's one or the other, right? You're either hard at work or you watch TV or read the newspaper, right? There wasn't a sense of like, what's possible in this time and what could we be doing? And, with my mom, it was a little bit different. She, occupied her time with, she ran a business, a children's clothing store, so she was busy, but there wasn't a sense of vision or, kind of what this was for either of them, like as a career, or where they were going with it or what direction. You just kind of did that because you had to. And there was some enjoyment, I think, for both of them. But, what did it mean? And she occupied her other time also watching TV, reading the newspaper, and shopping, right? I'm simplifying to a degree, but that's what I saw a lot, right? So there wasn't a lot of creativity or options in there or exploration or adventure or, just kind of getting out and being and exploring. And I remember feeling kind of very scared and limited to really explore and get out, even, in our neighborhood and things like that. And then in the culture, right, it's, of course, you go to school, you achieve, you keep yourself occupied and busy, and that's what matters, right? That's really what matters in our culture to such a huge degree. And I think we're all missing out on a part of life and a way of life that it all gets incorporated and it all has the same value. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know like how much time exactly we should spend on any one of these given things, but I can tell you we're pretty messed up around our values around it. And I talk to so many women, in my coaching that, it's like, what do you mean this feelings thing or this being? Like, well, what value is there in that? And that's not valued in my household or, ever has been. And we're all so caught in this, and it doesn't give us the space to feel okay, that it's okay to mother ourselves in this way. Because I think this is a key. I think we can mother ourselves, through our productivity as well, but that's not the end all be all, right? And I want to keep coming back to that. This is about a value set. This is about expanding our repertoire of life and its experiences and what we can learn from it. Because just by focusing and putting my attention on this for a period of time, I learned so much about myself, and I explored and had had adventures that weren't planned. They were literally just, I followed my flow. It's like, oh, I'm going to go. I see something out there, and I'm being a little not sharing the details because I've decided that I'm going to share some other details specifically around this in my next podcast. Hi, I'm so excited to share with you my 2024 Spring Equinox Self-Mothering Retreat that's happening this March 2024. And I would love for you not only to consider it, but to attend. But in considering it, hey, just knowing that you would be leaving cold weather if that's the space that you're in and coming down to just magnificently beautiful, warm, nourishing place of Zihuatanejo, Mexico. Zihuatanejo meaning land of the goddess women, and coming to really take time for yourself. Okay. And that I am learning more and more isn't just a nice thing to do or something extravagant or something selfish. It's essential. And I really want you to take it seriously, to consider, just think about what would it take for me to go. It's a 5.5-day retreat, getting from where you are, getting there, landing there, and then being in a space that is all about you. It's all about nourishing you. It's all about tuning into you, using everything around us, the nature, the food, the beautiful people, the rituals, ceremonies. I bring it, we really bring it. And we go deeper and deeper as the days go on, and we release, we let go, we bring in what is nourishing, what is empowering, what is that space of just really divine feminine energy. And we do it in the community of women. It's not for everyone. I will be honest, if that idea of leaving and not making it work, or it's just too hard, not for you. If the idea of, spending that amount of time inwardly focused and going to that level of self-awareness doesn't sound like something you're willing to do or put the time and energy into, then it's not for you. And it's good to know that, right? So this is for people who are serious about what it means to mother themselves, what it means to take time for ourselves, and that gift and what that gift can bring to us. It was originally right after my fall retreat. It filled right up. But now some people, it turns out, are not able to come. So I do have a handful of openings. And if you're listening to this and you're willing to take that step, please reach out to me. We can do a discovery call, or you can put a deposit down. I would love that. And you can do that by going to my website, www.drgertrudelyons.com. Go to events, and there you go. It'll all be there. There's a beautiful page there for you to explore. I look forward to hearing from you and then seeing you on my spring retreat. But I want to speak to the key themes around it. And I had, while I, just kind of jumped into something and ran with it, as I was in it, I started hitting some walls and barriers around, okay, should I keep doing this? Is this productive? And I had to give it a reason at some point. And if that was fun for a bit, but now, maybe I should, kind of have a goal in this, and just watching my thoughts, right? And not trying to put so much meaning onto things. I mean, there's a time for that, but and even, I decided I was going to watch something new on Netflix, something that, I knew I would enjoy, that I didn't have to necessarily share it with Rich, or if he wanted to, at some point he could. And, does it have to mean something, and what's going to be the right one? And I should use my time well. And, just how often those questions would come up, and they're okay at times. But it's okay to let those completely go at times. And, there were times I listened to an audiobook, and there were times I just kind of sat, and I'm in a beautiful place right now in Mexico, and, looked out at the beautiful scenery. And that's all I did, for a kind of larger than usual chunk of time before my mind would normally go to oh, I should go do this, or, oh, I should go do that. And just how freeing it was to be in those spaces in a way like I never have been before. So I'm thinking about this other aspect of having let go of my devices and taking kind of big times away and having them put away, and shutting everything down other than the show I was watching. So I didn't pop over to my email or pop and do this and try and do 3 things at once instead of fully just being in the show I was watching and didn't have to think about anything else and just be there and do that. And it was, I felt like a weight was lifted off my shoulders in a way by doing that. And realizing that, going forward now, I just like when I do a juice cleanser fast, I don't want to add it in. I don't want to just say like, okay, I did that. Now I'm going to go back to exactly how I was doing it before. And I've had a week now to live into what I learned from it and see and notice myself, when I'm about to just flip my phone on and look at it and, and get distracted by it. And when am I using it as a distraction or feeling like I'm going to, be productive and do something when the truth is, no, I just wanted to get away from myself, and starting to make more of those distinctions, and really had a sense of Dr. Judith Wright's work on soft addictions and how clearly it was like, of course, I live in a world where I'm not going to put my devices aside and never look at them again. Like that's definitely just, it's not going to happen. But I can add more things in. I can, create time and space, and I can make choices. I can move the phone out of my bedroom, which I'm doing now, and, make choices that create a space for me not to be tempted as much, right? And maybe even set some goals around the amount of time. And I do plan on setting up times on weekends where I put it away for periods of time. Is to have that space and to create that space. And something, I learned in this work around soft addictions is, to add, Judith calls it the math of more, adding more nourishing things, adding other options other than just, a limited amount of things that I can do with my time, but adding more in, and how it really did create flow for me, and these are systems I want to put in place that anywhere where I'm opening space for my creative flow, for spontaneity. And it's something Rich and I are also taking on as a couple that I can speak to also, that we have some really great systems in place for connection and communication. But a next layer and level is using those systems to jump into spontaneity and creativity in a way like we haven't before. And I'm really looking forward. I'm really looking forward to see how I can build on this in my year ahead. And I'm going to share in the next episode, just to give a little teaser about that. Some of the things that I did during that time while I was following flow were grounded in the elements: earth, air, fire, and water. So I'm going to share just what unfolded as I did that. And, both watching the mistaken belief and the wiring that would come in, and then how I would just choose to go back to flow. And, it's a practice. And I think with all that I talk about on the show and places we want to get to and spaces that we can create of more presence, of more flow, does take work, and it does take attention. It takes consciousness, it takes awareness, and it takes practice. And this was an opening of a big practice for me that I'm excited about. And I hope that it's, it turned something on for you and has opened up a space for you to consider, whether it's productivity, whether it's something just, looking at anywhere where maybe you overspend some time or haven't been as mindful about that, step away from it for a period of time and see what you learn from it. So that's my invitation. And I want to share some things that are coming up for me, that another big reason why I'm really trying to open up and create some of this space of flow is, drum roll, have made the commitment, have the intention to myself, and have even started writing a book. And I have known this is in the was in, I don't know, my plan, one of my very deep, big yearnings, to take on that bold adventure. So when I was looking at what might be in the way, that's some of the reasons why I did this productivity fast. Another thing that I'm doing this year is I'm going to launch and have my first ever experience retreat here in our location in Mexico. And that's coming up this spring. So very big news, very exciting. And I really want to encourage you, and I'm going to give some incentive for this, to take, whether it's literally just what I did, this, 2-day productivity fast, but some sort of place where you're fasting around something that's getting in your way of flow. But say it's your 3-day productivity fast. And if you share that experience via a written review of my podcast on Apple and submit that and, get that up and running and then, DM me that you did that so I know and can know to look for it, you'll be entered in a raffle and a chance to win a discounted ticket to my upcoming retreat here in Mexico. So, sometimes we need incentives to do things that aren't necessarily all that easy, or maybe we haven't thought about it before. So I'm hoping that that's a lovely incentive for you and kind of gets you thinking about doing something like this. That being said, in general, I would love to put out the invitation and remind all of my listeners to review, rate, subscribe. I'm so grateful for all of you and all the ways that you support this message. And that's one of them that really helps the message get out there more. And so if you've done that, thank you. If you haven't, please do. And I think I mentioned that I have recently started a newsletter, and there's a link in the show notes to sign up for that. And I would love, love, love where I dive deeper into some of these topics and share what's coming up for me. But I'm doing those once or twice a month, and it's going to have exclusive, and it already does because I've put a couple of them out, exclusive content and updates on events, as I said. And as always, please listen to Mother every other Monday, wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you so, so much. Thank you so much for choosing yourself and taking the time to listen to this podcast. As always, please rate, review, and subscribe to Mother. Subscribe to Mother. It helps other people who need this message, aka all women. Well, actually, everybody, men included. I'm honored to have you on this journey in mothering yourself. Remember, change is uncomfortable, but it's beautiful, and it starts with us. And if you can't wait until next week's episode, follow me on Instagram and LinkedIn at Dr. Gertrude Lyons or at my website, drgertrudelyons.com. I'll see you next time.